Childbirth is one of the most natural things in the world, but that certainly doesn't mean it comes easy. Over half of women who go through childbirth suffer from postpartum ailment, many of whom suffer in silence, embarrassed to talk to their doctors or even friends about their difficulties. We visited some doctors to know more on postpartum care.
We realized that most of the common cause of death in the postpartum period are infection and bleeding. Now, in order for them to prevent themselves from infection, it has to start from delivery. Before they deliver, they have to make sure they have personal hygiene so that no infection passes through the vagina. And when they deliver also is a very crucial moment. They make sure that they put on clean clothing. They make sure that the pad they are even putting on, whenever the pad is choked, they need to change it. Or even it's not choked, at least every 6 hours they should change their pad. They should make sure they are properly cleaning their perineum, that is the genital area. And whenever they go to toilet, they must make sure they clean very well. Whenever they urinate, they must make sure they clean very well. And that way they will try to avoid infection.
The doctors also shed light on the importance and differences between family planning and contraceptives.
So one thing we have to understand as part of our postpartum care, so that means when women deliver, we always see them in the first 24 hours, we'll see them 1 week after, and we'll see them within 6 weeks after their delivery. That is called the postpartum period. Like we said, whenever they come for the postpartum care, we make sure, one, we counsel them for family planning. Two, we'll always check their hemoglobin to see whether their blood level is okay or not. We'll also have to check their uterus, whether it's contracted or not, whether they are bleeding or not. We have to also check the baby to see whether the baby is fine, whether the baby is sucking well, are they making breast milk, and all those things. So one of the components of that family, the postpartum care, is the family planning. So in family plan, we're trying to advise the woman, what ways do you make sure you do not get pregnant, at least for a period of time that you wanted to stay on pregnant. Now you realize that most of the time, people tend to have difficulties. Some will say, my husband doesn't want me to check any family planning or contraception, which eventually becomes a problem because even from our Islamic point of view, we are told not to breastfeed our babies up to 2 years. And that becomes part of components of family planning. That means you have to make sure you breastfeed your child for 2 years. So it is not like something new when we talk about family plan. What is family plan is to make sure you plan your family well in as much as possible to make sure that you have a good spacing. And how do you do that? You make sure you take something that is not going to make you get pregnant. And that's where contraceptives comes in. So you make sure anything that is going to help you to prevent pregnancy becomes part of your contraception that you take. So that is not something very new. And I think everybody understands it that way, that we must make sure you take contraception so that you do not get pregnant, especially within the first 6 months of the delivery.
In an interview with a young mother of triplets, Jalisiri Suso at the Brikama Hospital, she narrates the difficulties she's facing upon breastfeeding the kids due to not having adequate breast milk, and instead she has to buy baby formula milk, which she finds challenging to afford.
Man dimbale bu mag la soxla because suma dom yi suma jëkër kañ ligéyam bi nekkut lifinut bu baax wa ma ngi bëggan dimbal kuma mëna dimbal rek façon dimbal bu nekk man ko appreciate rek kuma mëna dimbal rek wa pour suma dom yi because suma wen bi mom kañ so bi bari wut xaw ma ci kana way so bi barangut waaw meew lañ day nan ni sa.
In another development, Dr. Jao told us how hectic it is to handle one child, much more 3 kids who are feeding on baby formulas.
The difficulties are numerous. One can say starting from psychosocial, and also when it comes to the breastfeeding, that is nutrition, both for the mother and the triplets. It's a challenge. Because sometimes, imagine breastfeeding for 1, it's a challenge. Now talk less of breastfeeding for 3. So situations like that, the mother herself should have a proper, like I can say, full coverage of her meals. Yes, and not only that, but also that psychological support. Imagine the 2 are crying and the one is on the being breastfed. Like the coping mechanism is also a challenge. So that is why in situations like this, the approach is not only, let's say, medical. We can say it's like a holistic approach which will involve all stakeholders. Like, we begin from the family, because it is, like I can say, obvious, like almost obvious, that she alone cannot carry the 3 babies at the same time. She would definitely need the support of family members, at least while she's holding the 2, or at least holding 1. Others will help to hold, and also taking care of the babies also, like starting from the family level. Yes. And with these triplets, I can say it's going to be a challenge for the children to have enough breastfeeding. So the recommendation here would be like supplement, and that supplement would be in a form of artificial breastfeeding, like breast milk, like artificial milk, sorry, which, like, we have various types depending also on the needs of the children, and that one we will of course consider their birth weight, also consider their nutrition status. You understand? Yes. And the mother on the other side also, she needs a balanced diet, more of protein, carbohydrate to give her energy. You understand?
The doctors further encourage pregnant women to attend antenatal clinics and afford home deliveries, which can cause more harm to them and the baby.
Muso de ni anata da fay hadje di la fay kono soto inyantale na leptano bare ni sita so kono fana man na leptano man tura jamal ase soto noje ku jamal say membo ko nying mbe nyaay nyi min jatante nyi muso abe sirin na singol be funure bare ni singol be funure ni na leptano boro bi jelan kamindi lan ka tesol ke en talon nsi boro di la se fisea yo ya je ni ngata yelo be le band banni yelo bande bi sirin so ko ne man na nos mutalon na si sidron yebusan ni yefa wala keto ni ena leptano ta ku kelo no kandi kando kon isina ko kana ta leptano te mata ko ta fa yo ni muso ni ate balo le be kandire ando ni balo kandita o fanan kurango le bila asike malaria ta asike infection ta asike ku ko te mat yo bana ni man na nos abe suwo kono ni fana sa ya fon sa ta no ja ni muso ferenti fono kono ma ya mbe yalo ne ko aka kele bari fono la na tambire mo fana o fana mu kurango ti kono ma ya kono say musu be nyantale ni yaaji ka fono tambiri ngodron hani man join no sfero be ke dron ena le fata ni muso wala de la problème o yo nyin don abe convulse kanne yo kurango do le bi ka fa eclampsia nyim high blood wala ka cause andun silanga be siare mbaka kam su jamale man to rani be lebo ni kono be la wala ka je balo be funu bi di nyaada to fot foy singot abe funu bitum mol baf ika ko sifa be le fo isi mo fi njara ro sifa be di la bari akura ma biji ka fa eclampsia o fana ni nata leptano nka boro dronne di la dron do bien se landi tili dantan nga boro di la yese so ko ni la boro e continue yo nyimbe ani nyi muso fana nyi yaaji abe siri na do aja ka yelo bon abe yelo bon kan yo ni nyi fana man nanu leptano to ni yelo be bon kan ama sita so ko no asi saya so to no ka ko ni yelo banta do mu faleti wala na nga nyimbul kon ni mol be chodo nyimbe na ka ta mu la leptano wala badi ni tamari sita suko ne man na nos kono bi la muso la wonun to miro ngono kambale fona e kari woro soto nin tata june ko be fayi tan dulla sa wuje manu mantra kono ndol kala fi ni kono bi la kala fi kejele wato wat isaje ni ko ko mina problème to don salon ndol la nyim bañul leptano jang hanina ta suto talan sabale bundal bebe yelinde wati wo wati nka sa tol accept la muso kono ma to ndol ni ngeje fon ka kondan len ka sawar badi ni sita suko kono fo wato tambita hinata nan jang ndol fana mbuka ko kino wata ka tara let anda ka kuyanto len mbuka la fi fanka musoje nyin condition ko abaraka.
For the Fatine Walk News Review, I am Mati Senghor.